The Seattle Seahawks obviously absolutely dominated the Minnesota Vikings. Not necessarily in the way that was originally maybe thought, but at least defensively, definitely going up against that man right there, to the point where you start to feel bad for him. Honestly, even I feel like even if you're a Seattle Seahawks fan, like you gotta feel like a little bit. You're like, this is almost uncomfortable because listen, he's still in the NFL, so he's still doing some pretty cool stuff, but that was rough, and it started with that insane interception there. I mean, just madness. I mean, he was 19 for 30, 126 yards, 4.2 yards per attempt, 0 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 4 sacks, and a 32.8 pass rating. Makes you think maybe J.J. McCarthy isn't that bad, you know? I mean, I don't know. What do you think? Sam Darnold, obviously, this wasn't much of a game for Sam to shine either. He was 14 for 26, 128 yards, under 5 yards per attempt. He had 4 sacks himself and a 67.5 passer rating. I really appreciated the coaching approach of this game. It was just obvious that the defense was just going to annihilate, that the Minnesota Vikings weren't going to be able to do literally anything. And it's just like, all right, we're just going to be smart. We're not going to try to send any messages. We're not going to try to force the ball to Cooper Kupp, to Jackson Smith and Jigba. I mean, and Jigba only had 4 targets, and that's okay. That's the way how some of these games, unfold sometimes. And it's like, we're just going to kind of keep running the ball. We're just going to be smart. We're just going to let the clock keep going. We're just trying to get out of here alive. Game, set, match, and move on, right? Like that's sometimes what these games turn into. Just how it is. It's not always about getting all the numbers. It's not always about finding your playmakers and making sure everyone feels involved. And some of it is just like, hey, sometimes you're the king and sometimes you're just hanging out. Like that's just the way these games go sometimes. So the reality is there's not a whole ton to unpack here. I'm just going to be 100% honest with you. When you're going up against a quarterback that I think nobody even really knows his name outside of his parents, what's there to say, right? You win 26-0. I'd love to be able to be like, that's right, Seattle Seahawks taking down Minnesota. And it's just like, the Seattle Seahawks are beyond that. Huge loss from the Los Angeles Rams. Number 1 seed right there for you. Rematch against LA. I mean, everything is still on the table right now. It's like I don't even really feel a strong desire to even unpack the nuances of this game, like, oh, that was a good 3rd down call, or because it's just like, it just was what it was. If anything, I always like in a game like this is that Seattle didn't have a lot of penalties, and I think sometimes I don't like when a game is like this and it's like you still had 10 penalties and it's like, what are you doing right now? Same thing with Minnesota. It's like I could rip them, like, you got this backup quarterback, you're having all these turnovers and you still have 10 penalties. It's just like you're a mess at that point. There were a couple bad penalties by Seattle that especially I forget who it was when he slammed down Justin Jefferson. It's like, that's dumb. And those are the little things that when you're playing against a better quarterback or a better team, that could have devastating consequences, that you have to be smart. You got to be smart, especially if you're trying to win a Super Bowl. Any of those little things can happen in a playoff game that ends up having devastating consequences. Make no mistake about it. Devastating consequences. So I will harp on that for a second because it's like, you got to be smart. 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 Obviously, it did not matter in this game at all. But you can't do it to Puka Nacua in the 3rd quarter when it's a tie score against the Rams, right? Like, you can't have it. 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 And so you got to be able to control yourself in those moments. And it wasn't even close. It was the most obvious penalty you could make. And so you just got to be smart in those moments. So I'll just point that out, I suppose, because there's not, like I said, there's not a whole lot to really point out here. But I mean, Sam Darnold was obviously pressured a lot, and I'd say a lot of the sacks that he took and any of the batted balls, the defense just came out and got him. I wouldn't say that this was anything specific or unique to Sam necessarily, as I know everybody always wants to obsess with that. I would say that I wish Clint Kubiak did a little bit of a better job to kind of give him more solutions for the pressure, for the blitz, which I did not necessarily see. Obviously, you had the 2 fumbles and whatnot. I can't wait to see how many times he was officially pressured, because they were hunting for him. But like I said, it felt like majority of the pressures there was no real plays to be made. He wasn't confused. He wasn't overwhelmed. It was just breaking through, right? They were just getting through to him immediately. And, like I said, you want to see him be able to kind of handle that better and certainly not turn the ball over. But I'm more looking to Clint Kubiak in that moment, especially since Sam Darnold is not this hypermobile quarterback where you're expecting him to be a Josh Allen, Mahomes, Lamar, Hurts, whatever mobile quarterback you want to use as an example. He's just going to be a little bit more at the mercy of his coordinator in that regard. So I guess that's another thing to kind of linger on and maybe give you a little bit of anxiety moving forward as these final weeks wind down. But all in all, a great day for Seattle, specifically, of course, because the Rams lost, and so now you're right there, right? You're literally right there. And so this is where things are crazy with the standings. Rams are still number 2. The Bears are number 1, right? You have Seattle 9-3, the Bears 9-3, the Rams 9-3, and Seattle's at 5. Green Bay's 8-3-1, so they got that little tie. But the 49ers, who have 9 wins, one more win than the Packers, they're at 7. So it's like it's a weird situation right now. So like I said before in one of my earlier videos, you're gonna have to start to go through any of the tiebreaker type scenarios and whatnot. But yeah, we're getting there now. I mean, you got the Falcons. They're pesky. Make no mistake about it. The Colts, I still think they're going to be good. It's kind of hard. Daniel Jones has like a broken femur or whatever, but he's like still playing, so who knows. This game, obviously, against the Rams is the biggest game. And then obviously the Panthers, clearly pesky, and the 49ers, clearly pesky, right? And they're all of these, all the final 4 games, 1, 2, 3, 4, are going to be like everyone's fighting for something. Every team, like every game for all of these teams are like, gotta win, Colts are like, we gotta win. Maybe even the Falcons are technically kind of like, hey, we're trying to fight too, but like, but really definitely those final 4, obviously the Rams being the biggest one, but still the 49ers. I mean, the 49ers can still win the division as well. So, pretty crazy stuff. And you'd say, you'd probably say that the Rams have a slightly easier schedule. The Cardinals, final game of the season, should probably be pretty much like Cardinals don't care about nothing. The Falcons, again, obviously both playing the Falcons. The Seahawks, obviously the Seahawks are the Seahawks. You play the Cardinals also. They play the Cardinals as their next game, and then you have the Lions. So you'd say that they probably have 2 objectively more difficult games, right? In terms of, hey, those games should be games, legitimate, like, all right, what's going to happen here? And then they definitely have 2 to 3 easier games, especially when compared to the Seahawks, where I'd say there really is no the easiest game they have is the Falcons. Then the Colts should, again, when I mean like easy and difficult, I don't mean like, oh, it's an easy win, or difficult to be, it's like, I don't know, you'd be lucky to win. I just mean like on a spectrum of like, would you classify this as easier or harder, right? And so technically the Falcons are going to be the easier game, and then you have 4 straight games that you're like, all right, like these are harder games. These are not easy games. These aren't games that you're expecting to win 26-0 and get 4 interceptions, right? So yeah, you wouldn't be surprising if the Seahawks, if the best chance that the Rams have to lose a game is against the Seahawks, and that's it, and they win the rest of the games. Like it's on the table for them to only lose 1 game, and it would be up to the Seahawks to be like, that game's us. But then if that's the case too, again, you'd have to now start to look at the whole tiebreakers and all of that whatnot. Then the door is still narrow then for you to be able to say, okay, we just got to win these next 3 out of 5 games, and we're gonna have first play. Like, it's It's a little bit of a narrower path, but still very much in the Seahawks control. So wild stuff, man. Wild stuff. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Seattle Seahawks taking down the Minnesota Vikings in probably the least competitive game of the maybe the Jags versus Titans, but one of the most least competitive games of the week. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all generally feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.